Over the past few years, I have managed a little over $65,000 in ads for construction specifically. I've booked a little over 930 estimates myself for residential contractors. And throughout this time, I've been able to spot a few patterns that people who actually crush it do differently from people who just struggle for years and years and years. So I wanted to put together a nice little list of 5 essential don'ts and 5 essential do's when it comes to doing any sort of marketing for construction, whether it is door to door, whether it is running ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, cold calling, putting up flyers, whatever it is. The first don't is don't copycat. Specifically, don't blindly copy what the big companies are doing without having any context about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of taking inspiration and looking at your competitors and looking at what they're doing to try to get some ideas. But where I see people get it wrong is they just look at what other companies in their city are doing, and then they just go and blindly copy and paste the ad or the flyer or the strategy or the script, and then it just blows up on their face and they just end up wasting time. When you just go over there and then you just copy and paste something that's not yours, something that was not your idea, you're always gonna deliver it in a way that's slightly different from the guy who actually came up with that idea, and people realize that. I guess the lesson here is just be yourself, understand the fundamentals behind why things that are working, and not just copy and paste it. Look at an ad, look at a flyer, look at a strategy, at an offer, and ask yourself, why is this working truly? Well, first of all, ask yourself, is it even working? Because a lot of people, you'd be surprised, a lot of people just throw money at their marketing campaigns without even knowing that they're not profitable. So you got to be careful as well. Always take inspiration from others, but track your own data, come up with your own ideas, do your own delivery, have your own offers, and use a little bit of critical thinking when it comes to deciding what offers to run and what ads to create. In reality, this industry is not too complicated. Just look at what's working, put your own twist to it, put your personality to it. The human side of things is what matters the most. People want to see who you are. People want to trust you, not some offer, some random company, some random logo. They want to trust you, that you're the contractor that they're going to invite inside their house to do their renovation. So when you're doing your marketing, do that. Put your face on it. Put your personality, your touch. Do not just copy and paste what another company is doing just because it looks like it's working, because it can just backfire. Anyways, moving on. The second is don't self-center. Or in other words, focus on your client, not on yourself. Don't make it about you. Make it about the buyer. And this applies to everything as well. I see this really with people that are starting out, but it even gets higher level contractors where they're running campaigns, they're running ads or whatever, and then they care too much about how their logo looks like, what colors are they using, how handsome do I look in this picture, how this and that. And like, we're human, it happens, but at the end of the day, people don't care. People care about value. What can you do for them, right? So when I'm running any sort of marketing campaigns, I always start with the dream outcome. That's what I like to call it. What is the dream situation that my ideal client wants to be in? What they want their bathroom to look like, what they want their kitchen to look like, what they want their house to look like, to feel like, to smell like even. If you get super clear on their dream outcome, now make your marketing campaign about that specifically. Focus on them, not on yourself, and you'll win. Number 3, don't focus on leads, or don't give too much importance to leads. This point really deserves its own video, but a lot of people focus on leads. If you go to a random contractor, 9 out of 10 times, if you ask them, how do you grow a construction company? How do you start getting busier? They're gonna tell you, oh, I just need more leads. Well, more leads. And that's somewhat true. But if you have a little bit more experience, you've been doing this for a bit longer, you're probably sitting at mid 6 figures, maybe low 7 figures, you probably already have some sort of CRM or some sort of list of leads that you already paid for and that are just not being utilized to its fullest. What do I mean by this? If you think about leads as water and you think about a bucket of water, what most contractors do or have is a bucket full of water with a bunch of holes in it, and the water is just dripping out of these holes. And this usually happens because they have no systems around every possible situation that the lead can go through. So what happens when a lead comes in? What happens before the lead comes in? And then what happens after? And then how many times are we going to follow up with this lead? And then what happens if they don't respond after this many times? And then what happens if they do respond and they are a good fit and then they get a quote? How do they get a quote? How fast do they get it? And then once they get sent that quote, how many follow-ups are we doing? How often are we doing these follow-ups? And then just being absolutely diligent with this, because this is what separates like bigger companies, huge companies, from contractors that are just starting out, or contractors that have had the same business and the same revenue for 30 years. If a lead got a quote and they're not interested, what do I do next? What's the process to offer him some different options? What happens if a lead is not a good fit? How fast are we able to determine that? And then how fast can we get him out of the pipeline so it doesn't waste our time or our team's time? Or a big one too, what happens if a lead is not qualified right now, but they will most likely be in the future? How do we nurture them? How do we send them about the company? How do we send them any promotions or any offers that we're doing? All of that stuff, really, you probably have thousands and thousands of dollars just sitting in this bucket. And it's just way easier to reactivate these leads and put them in a system that actually works instead of having to focus on more and more and more leads. Because yeah, you might still get jobs, but there's still going to be like 80 or 70% of the leads that are not going to be taken care of properly. So if you fix those foundations, then you can start putting more water into the bucket, right? Number 4, rely on word of mouth to grow. Referrals are great. Referrals are amazing. It means that your work is good. It means that people like working with you. The only time where they become a problem is when you start relying on them to grow, and you somehow have this sort of delusion that you want to grow your companies to 7 figures, multi 7 figures, and you're like, my work is good. My work speaks for itself. I'm just going to keep getting more and more referrals, and that's it. The problem with that, as you've probably heard, like, you cannot really track referrals, and referrals are a byproduct of something else. So it's not within your direct control. It's not like you can turn on the referral faucet and turn it off whenever you want. And if you just want to predictably grow, if you want to go from a certain amount of revenue to a different amount of revenue in a certain period of time, it's almost impossible to do that with referrals. Even if you try to build some system around it where you track how many referrals happens and stuff like that, like, they're so unpredictable. Some month you might get 5 referrals, the next month you might get 0 referrals, and the next month you might get another 3. And so I would always have referrals as my safety net. I would always focus on doing good work to make sure I always have referrals, but I would not rely on it as my main source of revenue for my business. I would always have something else on top of it, which is our main channel or acquisition system that we can track, that we can scale, that we can stop whenever we want, that we can turn on whenever we want. And yeah, we have control over it. And number 5, do not overcomplicate it. The best campaigns are the simplest campaigns. Focus on 1 to 2 acquisition systems, whether it is running ads, whether it is Google ads, Facebook ads, door-to-door, flyers, and you don't really need anything more than that. If you have some sort of idea that no one has tried, I'm all for testing, but don't turn off the things that are already working for you, and just stick to the fundamentals. Doing great work and letting people know that you do great work, and doing that over and over again as many times as you can. Delivering it in a way that makes you more money than it costs you to deliver it. The first do is offer is king. This is tricky to a lot of contractors because when I say offer, people start thinking about $1,500 off, $50 off installation, 50 that. Like, they just start throwing around numbers. But offer really means how your company is positioned. What are you offering them when they're working with you? What do they get? This is not just money. This is not discounts. This is your guarantees. The way you work. This is how often you're going to call them and give them updates about their project. This is how you're going to handle communication overall. How clean the job site is going to be. This is how fast the project is going to be completed. This is everything surrounding the experience of working and dealing and doing business with your company and your business and yourself and the people in it. If you're able to have an offer that's super compelling, if you're able to focus on the dream outcome and what people actually want, everything else in the business becomes 10 times easier. Sales, marketing, getting leads, completing the projects, getting referrals, because this is how people perceive your company. So focus on this and you'll win. Second, client. Who is your client? And I don't mean just like, oh, anyone who wants a renovation. No, like, get super clear on this. And besides the offer is probably one of the biggest levers to just niche down. What services are you going to do, and what are the people who need those services? Are you a bathroom remodeler? Are you a luxury kitchen remodeler? Are you specialize in backyard renovations? Pick one, get really good at it, really get to know your client in terms of what they need, what are the main objections that come to mind about their project, what are their fears, how do they like to be treated, what pictures, what ads do they respond to. Do this long enough, and all of a sudden you get to the point in which getting clients, staying busier, and again, everything about the business becomes 10 times easier because it just snowballs. Whatever marketing you do is gonna convert better because you're gonna find the type of people that are looking specifically for the type of jobs that you specialize on. So the closing rates are gonna be much higher, which means you're gonna be acquiring customers for less money, which means you're going to have more money to then go and acquire more customers that are just like that one customer, which means you're going to get a lot more experience doing those sorts of jobs, which means you're going to start to know a lot of people in your area that are very good at doing those jobs, which means you're going to get better at delivering that specific service, and everything just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs until you have this really good business that finds it really easy to get clients, that is very profitable, that makes you more money and allows you to have more fun with it. Third thing, volume negates luck. A lot of people underestimate underestimate the amount of volume that is required to be able to close people at a profit. Do not start door to door if you're going to knock 10 doors a day. Do not start cold calling if you're going to make 10 cold calls a day. Do not start putting up flyers if you're going to do 10 flyers per day. And do not run ads if you're going to do $10 a day. If you really want to crush it, I like to focus on the rule of 100s. 100 doors a day minimum, 100 cold calls a day minimum, $100 a day on your ads minimum, 100 to 200 flyers a day minimum. And by that point, it really starts becoming a numbers game, and everything just gets more and more and more predictable, meaning you get super clear on how much output you get depending on the input that you get. If your volume is really low, you're not going to have enough data to make decisions. You're going to start thinking, oh, this doesn't work and stuff like that. Everything works. Every channel works. You just need to do more. Number 4, simplicity. Kind of the same thing as don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Simple scales, fancy fails. And number 5, consistency. Nothing is really going to work out if you do it for a month or a week or 2 weeks. What I've seen working with a lot of contractors is that the ones that scale their businesses to the point where they can remove themselves from the tools and they get to that point in which they get that freedom and they have a bunch of time to spend with their family and their businesses run on autopilot are the ones that ever since they started, their vision has been on the long run. It's not, hey, let me get rich in a year. It's, hey, I'm going to be playing this game for the next 10, 20, 30 years. How do I make decisions around that, right? By the way, if you are struggling to get more jobs, if you are struggling to get busier, there is a link in the description. It's not a free training. It's not some scammy course or anything like that. It's just a video of me explaining how my company can help you solve that problem. You don't really have to click it. I'm just mentioning it for people that actually have that problem. Other than that, these are the 5 do's and the 5 don'ts. If you like the video, there's a button for that. You can also subscribe so that YouTube starts showing you more content that's similar to this one. And if you have any video ideas or any comments that you want to make about this video, you can leave it down in the comments. I truly appreciate you for watching. It's currently a day away from Christmas, so by the point I post this, Christmas is already gonna have happened. So I hope you had an amazing time. I hope you had time to reflect on the things you did last year and what you're gonna do differently in 2026. And I wish you an amazing year. Let's crush it.